Jen on piano. Thank you so much. And we've got Bill and Nick in the band today. Welcome, everybody. Let's have Unity Voices and all the kids and families, if you're welcome, to get up and join us in the aisles. It's great. It's time for us to sing our first congregational song called We Come Together. Yeah. Thank you, Bill. Come on up. And you can clap, yeah. Yeah, come on up with us. Here we go. We come together. You got it. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. That's right. And now you get to run around and hug people and greet them and say good morning. Good morning. We're glad you're here. Yay. Hi. Thank you. Great. Yeah. 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 Hi, Chris. How are you?
So special that last week.
Oh, good. Yay. All right. Here we go. We come together, we come together, we come together. In the name of love, we come together, we come together, we come together. In the name of love. Yeah, and children, you can make your way up onto the platform, all the children. We're going to do a children's blessing, and then we'll get started.
So we have a little surprise for you before, as the children are coming up. We want to show you a video. Oops, it already started, if you can see it. This is from last Sunday. All the fun we had celebrating. Right? This was our sponge relay where they had to put all the water into buckets. Here's the balloon toss. We had some of our adult children there. Jessica caught that. And then we also had, we missed, I guess it started already, but here's our families together doing balloon tosses. We have some of those stars right here. And then we had our balloon balance. We left this for last because this was one of the cutest. Were you in there? Yeah? Okay. I missed that. That was a highlight we missed. So they had to balance their balloon on a spoon all the way up and back. And you'll notice that there was some persistence tossed in. We had all these older, and then we had a very persistent young man who was determined that he was going to do this. Even though everyone was running around him, he was doing this. And no distractions from all those other kids. Even the adults. Oh, there's Grandma taking pictures. We had such a good time. Look, and then he goes back. He's got this. He's got this. Yeah. We had such a good time, and included were prizes. Everybody got prizes. And so we have an upcoming one in October, the Trunk or Treat. So make sure you stay tuned. We're going to bring you some information about that. Don't miss the next one if you missed this last one. So here are all these wonderful balloon athletes. So if you'll turn around. There we go. So this is our opportunity to let them know how much they mean to us by saying the children's prayer with them. So if everyone would say this with me. Children of light, we see you guided and directed, capable and successful, courageous and confident. We love you, we bless you, and we behold the Christ in you, and so it is. Thank you so much. Okay, You can go this way if you'd like. Here, this way might be the easiest. Thank you so much. Sorry I missed the footage of the face plant. Good morning and welcome. My name is Shireen Hill, and I have an opportunity to welcome you into this space and let you know of a few things going on. I do have some announcements, but if you are new here and would like some more information, we have Judy out at the welcome desk, and she has packets that have information about who we are and some of the programs that we have here at Unity Spiritual Center Denver. And we'd love to with all that we have going on. And in that packet, if you're new, is a free gift in the bookstore where Cheryl will be after the service. So I just have a few announcements. One of them is the Living a Purposeful Life workshop coming up September 2nd. This is a workshop that I give on a quarterly basis that is really intended to help us to re-engage with all those innate talents and gifts that help us live a purposeful life and co-create the life we were intended to live while we're here. And a couple of weeks ago, I equated a purposeful life with finding that inner joy. So I hope that if you're interested, you will sign up. Today is the last day to sign up because there is an assessment that you'll go through, so we need a couple of weeks to get through that. So hope to see a lot of you there. The next thing is our new member class, and this is really a way to get engaged and become part of all that we are doing here. I think you're starting to feel all this energy and the newness and coming together to co-create. And so this is an opportunity to become a member of all that we have to do here, that going on here. Trish actually leads this. It's a class that goes from 9 to 3. She does offer lunch. Saturday, August 26th. So if you would like to sign up for that at unitydenver.org, there's a place for you to sign up. Then the last thing is our meet and greet. Oh, sorry, we missed that slide. Okay, that was me. There's no we. I missed that slide. So the meet and greet is coming up as well next Sunday. And so if you are new and would like to get to know some of the members of staff as well as the council members, we love to have you come and have some coffee and talk about who you are, bring up any questions, and talk a little more in depth about some of the things that we have going on here. So speaking of things going on here, Bob is going to come up and share an update from the council. Bob Barton. He has two names. Bob Barton. Here you go.
Thank you, Shireen. These are just going to be very brief comments, but it was probably a little over 3 months ago, almost 4 months ago now, that we had a special congregation meeting, and we brought everybody together to talk about our plans moving forward. And we committed to you at that time that we were going to give you regular updates. So this is part of that. And there'll be more of them coming in the fall as well. But anyhow, I'm going to take a few minutes. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. As I said, it was about 4 months ago, that we talked to you about how we intended to really begin to grow engagement, grow membership here at Unity Spiritual Center of Denver. And we've had a number of activities taking place over the course of summer that we just wanted to give you an update on. So I want to give you a few of those updates. When we met back in, I think it was April, we talked about the need for more funding. We talked about our plan for securing that funding. And indeed, we did secure a line of credit secured by the house that the center owns. And that line of credit provided us with $250,000 that we're going to be able to use to embark on our plans for, again, growing the center, growing engagement, and so forth. To this point, we haven't had to use any of that money yet. It's essentially dry powder, if you will, for us. But that time is coming for us soon. We're at a point now in terms of our reserves and so forth that we'll begin to do that. But I want to talk again about some steps we've taken that really reflect what we're going to do with that money and how we're going to use it. At that time, we spoke about creating a position within Unity Spiritual Center to focus on engagement and growth through programming increases and through outreach. Within the last month, the council and Trish went to Shireen Hill and asked her to become the leader, if you will, of all of our activities that really speak to how it is we intend to grow the base that we have here. So Shireen is a fabulous candidate. Her background and experiences really speak to successes she's had, capabilities she has as well. And with all that, we're just thrilled for her to be able to take that on. The obvious point about how does Shireen do two jobs is going to be solved by one hire in particular that we'll make. We're now looking for an administrative person who will take much of those activities that Shireen's been doing and doing quite well for us for quite some time. We also talked when we met some 4 months ago about the need to further bolster our children's program offerings as well. And I think we mentioned at that time that we would be hiring a second person who will partner up with Lisa and really do a number of things around continuing to build out our curriculum, certainly build out our offerings as well, and be there side by side with Lisa as we are continuing to grow that part of our offerings here. Okay. The other thing is we lastly talked about our need to improve our marketing. And I've been a member here for 12 years, and I've always felt like Unity Spiritual Center of Denver was the best kept secret in town. And we can't afford to have that go on, and there's a number of ways in which in today's world, through social media, through digital marketing and so forth, that we can really make our presence much, much broader and have much more impact around that as well. So we're in the very early phases right now of beginning to interview some external marketing partners who will ultimately come on board on a contract basis and really help us in this regard. It's long overdue, again, in my mind, and it's something we're going to do. So as the summer activities wind down and we have more people here who aren't in the mountains or traveling or whatever, we're going to have many more updates over the course of the remainder of the year and into next year as well. But I just wanted to let everybody know who certainly was at that rep and wondering what's been going on, actually quite a bit during what is normally a bit of a summer lull. And those activities, in my mind, are only going to pick up momentum along the way. So for anybody that has questions about what we're doing, feel free to reach out to me and other council members who are here at any time at all. And we look forward to sharing more with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Summer lull. Who's had a summer lull? Good morning, everyone. I'm Trish Morris, serving here as your spiritual leader. For those of you who I may not know personally, I welcome you here this morning. Good to see you in the audience. I see some faces I don't know, so welcome. I'd love to meet you after the service, so if you are so inclined, come by and say hi and let me know your name. So, and I see many faces who I recognize. Feel free to speak to me as well, yes. However you have come here today, I'm glad that you found your way on these last few hot summer days, right? So we'll just begin to bring our attention inward from all the business of the church, from all the business of your life as we do each Sunday by affirming our call to worship. So if you'll claim this statement with me now. Our God is love, our race is human, our faith is oneness. So that is really what we come here to grow into, to settle into, to feel the support of, and to learn how to align all aspects of our life in a way that reflects that. So we'll begin by just settling in for a time of prayer. Just invite you to take a deep breath, let yourself fully arrive here, ringing the singing bowl as we do each Sunday, tuned to our heart chakra to pull us out of the busyness of our head. Just take a moment in our heart.
If you would join me in singing our congregational song, Spirit Am I. Spirit am I, free of all limits, free of all limits, safe and healed and whole. That's right. Spirit am I, Spirit am I, free to forgive, free to forgive, and free to love the world. Yeah. Spirit am I. Do the whole thing again from the top. Spirit am I. That's right. Free of all limits. Free of all limits, safe and healed and whole. Good. Spirit am I, free to forgive, free to forgive, and free to love the world. Spirit am I. Two more times. Spirit am I. And last one. Spirit am I.
So just take a breath into the space that creates. First, dropping from our head to our heart and finding that place within our heart that knows and feels that truth. Spirit am I. That the essence of each one of us is the essence of Spirit itself. And no matter the circumstance of our life that may have us feeling perhaps broken or unforgiving or unforgiven, there is the place within us that remains whole and free and available to let love do its work through us as us. So we breathe into that place now. We take a breath. There is always something moving in and through us, growing us, expanding us, and calling us back to that truth. Spirit am I is the truth that strengthens us, guides us, steadies us, and indeed frees us from any perceived separation. We are one with the Spirit of life itself. And so anything that you may be holding today, breathe into this awareness that you have within you the capacity to meet any challenge from the depth of the Spirit that you are. There is great wisdom, great order, great understanding. And so it is to that we turn this morning, and that we allow to be more freely within and all around us. All of life, including each one of us, is an expression of divine intelligence. May we know that and claim that now. And as we let that be, so it is. Amen.
When I introduced the band this morning, I forgot to introduce myself because I wasn't playing. I'm Kath Robinson. I'm the music director and choir director here. Thank you. And I will let you know that choir starts September 14th, and I'll be out taking sign-ups for that after service today if you're interested. And let's just breathe in for a moment, and we'll do this next song. It's like the air around me. It's like the sunlight on my face. I feel the love of God surround me. And I am touched by amazing grace. And all I ever wanted, and all I ever needed, it's already there. Closer than the sunlight, nearer than the air. And I breathe in, and I am filled with the Spirit. It is health to my body, it is peace to my mind, and it is joy. Joy to my soul. And I breathe out this simple prayer of thank you. And my breath becomes a song that was singing all along, that is singing everywhere. It is nearer than the air. And I breathe in, and I am filled with the Spirit. Oh, yeah. It is health to this body. It is peace to my mind. And it is joy. It is joy. It is joy. Joy to my soul. And I breathe out. I breathe out. I breathe out a simple prayer of thank you, God, thank you, God, thank you, God. And my breath becomes a song. It's been singing all along. It's been singing everywhere. It is nearer than the air. It's like the air around me. It's like the sunlight on my face. I feel the love of God surround me, and I am touched by amazing grace. And all I ever needed, and all I ever wanted, it's already here. Closer than the sunlight, and nearer than the air.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Nearer than the air. You ever have that experience in a roundabout way where you realize all you ever wanted and all you ever needed was already here? But we don't always see it that way, right? Today we're talking about one of my favorite topics, Epiphany. You say, ooh, who doesn't love a good epiphany? I'm closing our summer series of awe with this final experience of awe, what inspires awe and wonder in us. And this idea of epiphany where something happens or some bit of information comes into our awareness that suddenly shifts our whole understanding in a way that we have a new perspective of ourselves, a new perspective of God, a new perspective of our purpose. And in essence, I want to say too that I brought this series. First of all, I thought it was kind of cool, the Summer of Awe, right? I thought if I've got to compete with the mountains of Colorado, I better have something in mind. And there's no doubt that the challenges of our time are heavy and that we can lose perspective that all around us are opportunities to connect with wonder and awe, right? We talked about a variety of ways that we do that. And I brought it really as a means of inspiration, perhaps for myself and hopefully for you, to remember to do that, to remember to connect with that, to remember to be open to that. Even though life seems like this, there's always something happening that can draw us into a greater perspective of ourselves and of our life. And not as a way to avoid the challenges of our time, right? To just bliss out in awe, but really as a way to be inspired and strengthened and connected in a way that we can actually stand up right and meet those challenges, actually in a way that we bring a greater perspective. We need a greater perspective, wouldn't you say? And so, I just wanted to give you, now that I'm at the end, I'm telling you why we're doing it. So there you have it. So Epiphany is a well-suited finale for this journey of awe. The author, Dasher Keltner, whose book inspired this series, he says this about Epiphany. First of all, about awe, let me just remind you. Awe is about knowing, sensing, seeing, and understanding fundamental truths that leads to epiphanies across the wonders of life, transforming how we see the essential nature of the world. So really any experience of awe that connects us with something kind of greater than ourselves and puts us also in it, It's this opportunity, it's the paradox of mathematical equations, and sudden disclosures that transform life in an instant. In each instance, the epiphany unified facts, beliefs, values, intuitions, and images into a new system of understanding. I think the great, easy epiphany to think of that affected the whole world was Galileo's discovery that the world is actually not flat, right? Like, wait, what? Whew, everything, our whole perspective changes. And what I've really connected with through this experience is that the ways in which our world calls out to us to experience it in ways that we find awe and wonder in is sort of another way that the divine breaks through into us to connect with the fullness of life, that we can't, from our limited human perspective, we just can't always know. And in fact, as we've talked about so many times, that there's that aspect of our limited human mind that really can just only navigate me, myself, and I, and that's its purpose. And so these experiences that make us go, oh, whoa, suddenly draw us out of that, even if it's like in that moment, right? Doesn't mean also that we don't act, right? We just, like I said, let God handle it. This divine plan is in charge. No, let it inspire us to have new ideas and new perspectives and bring that contribution to the world, however it is that we're individually called to do that. So, he talks about, and we've talked about, he talks about the ego self as the default self, right? That part of us that just really protects ourselves, watches for anything that could hurt us, and that also sort of prefers comfort and predictability, right? And there's really nothing about a divine intelligence and divine plan that really reeks of comfort and reliability. I mean, it's comforting, and it's changing, and it's evolving, and it's vast, and it's mysterious. And so, at the same time that we sense the limits of our own mind to perceive that, and those limits of our mind can really be scary. There's part of us that says, I need to know. If I don't know, anybody have that part? If I don't know, I don't know. Yeah. And there's another capacity, our spiritual capacity, to know. And I have to know what to do with the part that says, you don't know, you don't know, you don't know. So I liken this to the spiritual teaching that you've probably heard, and certainly in the Christian tradition, and in others as well, that we have to die to ourselves in order to live fully, which is like, well, that's not easy to do. And the Christian tradition has literally taken that to, it will be when you die that you actually experience the fullness of heaven, right? But from this perspective, we can see, again, we think that's who we are. We think that's the totality of who we are. And so what we're dying to is that limited view in order to know greater and greater fullness of ourselves and of life and of spirit itself that is living and moving through each one of us. Unity's co-founder Charles Fillmore said this of dying to the self, that it signifies our willingness to die to the little personal self so that we may be absorbed into divine mind, into the fullness of divine life and wisdom. But so long as we think we've got to protect this little self, we can't quite do that. So we have to have faith. We have to trust that there is that divine plan and that we are part of it. And as we release and surrender some of those limitations, those ways of knowing which predominantly keep us, result in a sense of separation, right? That somehow it's all me. And that can lead me to think I've got to compete with you, or that you're trying to compete with me. And that doesn't feel very good, and it doesn't usually end very well, right? The ways we act when we feel separate. I really think that is the key to so much of what we experience, the pain and destruction, when we feel on our own. And that is, of course, an illusion of our own mind we've created, particularly in our understanding that we are all expressions of one source of life. We are never separate from it, and because we share that, we are never really truly separate from each other. We're having individual experiences for sure, but we're all interconnected. And so what I think is brilliant about his conclusion here, he asks, okay, we've studied awe. We know that it expands. It's, as we said last week, awe is actually the foundation for our, you would say, well, God, spirit, right? That's definitely part of it. I am part of something greater than myself is the simple answer. Awe locates us in forces larger than ourselves and allows us to perceive change before we shut down and panic about it, right? Because we're sensing, I think, a part of ourself. We sense that. So we naturally gravitate to it, and we can sense it without the fear that and resistance that often change can instill in our human experience. So he goes on to ask this intriguing question. What is it that awe connects us with that is larger than the self, that is initially invisible, but in the experience of awe and wonder becomes visible, that resists description and formulation but appears like an image or a holistic pattern or an epiphany, allowing the default self-grip upon perception to be loosened and even dissolve a bit, where we perceive I am actually part of this whole life experience in ways I can't quite perceive? What is that? His finding was a simple but profound statement. It's a system. He says, awe enables us to see the systems underlying the wonders of life and locate ourselves in relation to them. We are part of all that is happening in life, and what we do affects all of life, and what others do affects us. Maybe not indirectly, but can you not agree that these past 4 years have really shown how interconnected we are? How, as something changes up here, we feel it. Dissolving the appearance of separation, which, as I've already said, is the root of so many of our difficulties. So Keltner concludes that awe's great epiphany is that it draws us to see how all of life operates within vast networks of systems. And he reminds us, too, that systems thinking is at the heart of indigenous science, now thousands of years old. It's an old, big idea that everything is connected. It may be our species' greatest epiphany, to begin to actually live like that. So in this systems theory, we note how there is a constant process at work. That's the other thing about our default self. We don't really like to acknowledge that all of life is a process. Right? We think, okay, got it done. Here it is. I do this, we do that, you do that. Good luck with that. And it's a process of becoming. It's a process of evolving. It's good that we don't stay the same. Oh, I've got a quote for you. Hang on, stick to your notes because it'll make more sense if I do, I know. Our default mind gravitates to the certain and predictable, fixed, reliable essences of the world. And in truth, we know that there's really not all that much that is fixed and reliable for very long. And so these experiences of awe open us up to being present to the process, to the idea that we are changing, to the idea that life ebbs and flows, right? Just as the seasons show us every year. I will read the quote because just so you get a sense of what we're dealing with as humans. I heard this, I listened to it on Audible, and I laughed out loud and had to go back and make sure I heard it correctly. He says that our cycle of life, compared to that of other primates, is a defining feature of our evolution. Because of the narrowing of the female pelvis brought about by our species shift in walking upright and the disproportionate size of the human head to accommodate our large language-producing brain, our infants are born premature. In fact, wildly premature, taking 10 to 52 years to reach semi-functioning independence. So we're all doing all right. If there is such a thing, he goes on to say. Our hyper-vulnerable babies require years of intensive face-to-face, skin-to-skin care, networks of caregivers, a safe home, and enculturation just to survive. I mean, that was kind of an epiphany for me because I just turned 53 this year and I feel like, I think I finally got it. And so that's just a way of saying that the processes of life, the good, the bad, the ugly, the failing, the successful experiences, the mundane experiences, all of that holds a potential for us to be growing and evolving. And I didn't think I would live through a time where that is so, so important. We've all got to do our part. We've all got to dig deep. We've all got to recognize, what does it mean in my daily life that I am part of this huge system of life? How do I act? How do I behave? How do I treat the world, myself, others, knowing that, knowing the impact that I have? And this idea of epiphany, how can we then, through that idea that we are also connected, as our teaching says, our teaching of oneness, that we come from the one source of life, whatever you call it, and we are individual expressions of that. And so at a very simple level, we share the same divine parenting. We share the same source of life. And so how can we come up with systems? This is an interesting time when our systems seem to be failing. They're decaying. We've outgrown them. And that's part of the reality that, again, we want to build something and say, there it is, let it go. Thousands of years, and people are like, this isn't working. Because we're evolving. Dasher says that systems thinking emerged in our relation to nature and underlies traditional ecological knowledge. Our survival depended on our understanding of the social system, community, and again, indigenous people developed those systems thousands of years ago. So again, I don't think it's any coincidence that we are finally unraveling the effects of colonialism, that we have all suffered as a result of one particular part of humanity thinking it knows better than another and annihilating the wisdom of those already occupying this land and other land, right? That if one part of the human family is damaged like that, the whole system suffers. And that's what we're experiencing. So we can't go back, we can't change it, we can't fix it, but what can we learn? What can we rediscover and hold together to make the wholeness of the system work again? And I've long felt like our indigenous wisdom keepers know that. So I'll close with this. I already said that, I'm sorry. I'll finish it. Let me say the whole statement. When certain members of the human family claim superiority and decimate other members, the whole family system suffers. That is what we are contending with today. We can't change or fix the past, but we can, if we choose to, be a part of the healing for the future and reclaim the fullness of humanity's family. Which, in the words of Charles Darwin, as he studied all the varieties in nature, he concluded, so different from each other and dependent upon each other are these various and endless forms of life, so beautiful. And so we've got to get past this idea that because we're different, that needs to be scary, right? And because we're different and somewhat independent, that we don't affect each other, because we really do. We've talked about our reaction to awe, like we get tears in our eyes from those moral acts of beauty, or we get chills when we hear amazing music or see beautiful art, or in the presence of new life, or even in the presence of life leaving through death. Those chills and tears, he says, so often accompanying our experiences of awe are themselves end results of systems behind our eyes and under our skin, signaling to our conscious minds the presence of vast forces that require we merge with others to adapt and to understand. And so I think as we're considering, so many have said we're kind of entering this time of a spiritual paradigm where we finally, we've maxed out our amazing intellectual capacity. We've mastered our physical well-being. We know how to stay alive. And now it's kind of the call of our time to really begin to connect with purpose and spiritual understanding that binds us. And to live into that, to let that guide us, to let that support us, to let that inform us. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't consciously every day go, okay, how am I going to affect the whole world today? Or how am I going to affect the people that I interact with today? Sometimes I have to take a step back and say, I have the potential to do that, for better or worse or indifferent. And I'm impacted by them as well. That's the other thing that I hope you've taken this time to recognize is how impacted we are by the systems, right? By our culture, by our socialization, by our religion, by our education, all of that. We think we're so independent, but all of this stuff has been put into us, or we have absorbed parts of us. Political, dare I mention. But do we really believe that? And is it life-affirming? Is it true? Do I want to continue to express this and espouse this? Do I want to be part of something that connects us? So, it takes a lot of self-awareness and a lot of commitment, for sure. And the whole point of awe and wonder is that we are divinely supported in it, in every turn. We can be awe-inspired. We can be supported. We can have epiphanies where we see whole new perspectives that change our life and change the world. And so finding that unifying presence within and all around us, we find immediately that we are connected with something larger than ourselves. And that's a good thing. I don't know about you, but I'm real happy to know that. So let's take a moment to just, I know I've thrown a lot at you there, to just consider for yourself this masterful idea, right, that we can actually have a huge change of perspective. You can consider for yourself quite easily that your understanding of life is not the same as it was when you were 21 or 15 or last year. That's a gift. That is expanding. So just take a deep breath, relax your physical body, feel the chair beneath you, floor supporting you. As you just go inward to contemplate a bit what I've tried to share with you about our capacity for epiphany, to at any time be opened to new experiences, to new understandings, to new information that can shift our whole outlook. So I would just ask you, as you breathe into your heart space, to consider for yourself, is there a new perspective calling you in any way, in any aspect of your life? Can you sense perhaps a belief or an understanding that you have in fact outgrown? And just beyond that, though it shifts how you see the world perhaps, or how you understand yourself, it also expands it. Can you sense this greater purpose of this idea of epiphany, to expand you? To expand your awareness of what you are as an expression of divine intelligence, divine love, just as you are right here, right now. Is there a limiting perspective of yourself or of spirit itself that you can release? And as you do that, you may not have all the answers, but can you sense an opening, an expansion of energy, of possibility, of ideas? And I just invite you to remain open to that, to always be in consideration of the expansion of perception. That is your divine power and ability, ever evolving, ever growing. And no matter where you are on that exploration and that understanding, that expansion calls you and guides you. And so you can connect with this at any time. Where am I ready to grow in my understanding, in my perception? And for our ability to know this and to grow into this awareness, we just give thanks. Thank you, God. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, divine mind and intelligence that meets me right where I am. I'm open and I'm willing. So we just open up our hearts and our minds in this time as we close with our meditative chant, pour yourself in me. Creating an opening, a conscious opening for that awareness to grow in us.
Yes. Pour yourself in me. Pour yourself into my heart. Whoa. Wonderful Spirit, you can join me. Pour yourself in me. Pour yourself into my heart. Whoa. Wonderful Spirit, pour yourself in me. Pour yourself into my heart. Whoa, wonderful Spirit. Let's do 3 more. Pour yourself in me. Pour yourself into my heart. Oh, wonderful Spirit. 2 more. Pour yourself in me. Pour yourself into my heart. Oh, wonderful Spirit. Last time. Pour yourself in me. Pour yourself into my heart. Oh, wonderful Spirit.
So just take a deep breath. Bring your awareness back to this time and space. Open your eyes. Rubbing your hands if you're real sleepy. So I just want to also share with you that my next series is open-ended, sort of. You know, they have to plan for the music. That's the reason that I have to feel like I have a series so that I can say, okay, because if I said, what are you going to talk about in 4 weeks? You don't want me to just come up with it. I've got to have a plan. But I'm going to be looking at mindfulness and meditation and prayer practices. So we'll be actually having some experiences of those, right? That's something that we can do together. The energy of doing that together is helpful. And you can find your technique, your ways to connect with the divine that work for you and that you can practice at home. How many of you know about mindfulness or practice mindfulness? Okay, pretty good amount. So we'll kick that off. And I've done a little bit of it. I've certainly never taught it. But I've heard from more and more people, and I've had experiences myself in the past few years where there's so much energy that to just get still is not as easy as it sounds sometimes. And so to learn some techniques to actually just kind of calm your system, to get familiar and comfortable with all that comes up, and to befriend that, to not resist it or judge it or think, oh, I can't do this, right? So that's the first step we'll take. And then certainly Unity has a rich foundation in prayer practices, steps and practices that we do to connect our mind with divine mind, to receive inspiration, to receive guidance, to receive peace that passes understanding. So that's what you can expect in the next month or so. So thank you for experiencing awe with me. I hope that you've tuned in to all the ways. I think summer's a good time. Usually we're outside more in nature. It's a very easy way to connect with awe and wonder. So I hope you'll continue to see that as really a spiritual tool to enliven, to reconnect us with the divine patterns of life all around us. Now is the time in our service where we give of our good to support this ministry. All that you give here does make it possible for us to do all that we do, which we are, as Bob indicated, seeking to expand upon. And so I thank you, we thank you for all the financial support that you offer. I know some of you do that online, and so however you give, there's baskets in the back for cash and check as you leave. However it is that you give will bless our love offerings together. And if you'd like to know how you can do that, electronically, there's information on the back of your bulletin that you can give an electronic donation. Apparently people don't have cash and check anymore. I can't imagine. I know I don't.
To the priest, and he would read the holy word, consecrate the holy bread. Everyone would kneel and bow.